Okay, I've just started recording, so Lucinda, you can introduce our speaker for the session.
Thank you, Kirchner. Good morning, everybody. My name is Lucinda, and welcome to our last session for Research Week. The topic is strategies to reduce anxiety. This presentation will talk about some of the strategies that researchers and postgraduate students can use to reduce chances of anxiety. Our speaker for this session is Gerda Hayes, and I would like to thank Gerda for her willingness to do this presentation today. Gerda studied at Stellenbosch University, where she completed a BSc degree in mathematics and computer science cum laude, honors BSc in computer science, and the postgraduate certificate in education. She worked as a software developer in the financial industry for 25 years. In 2019, Gerda qualified as a life coach, when she decided the debugging and reprogramming of human minds is more rewarding than programming computers. Her main area of interest is to guide individuals along their career expedition to understand where their unique set of skill and character strengths fit in with crafting a meaningful career path. This includes exploring the start of the journey as well as changing direction along the way. Following directly after Gerda's session, the Library Research Week will be officially closed by our Director of Research Services, Mr. Saviwe Bangani. It will only take a few minutes, so please stay a little bit longer before leaving. Thanks again, Gerda, and we are looking forward to your presentation, and it's now over to you.
Thank you, Lucinda. I must say this feels a bit unusual. Normally the speaker faces the audience, and now I'm facing myself. At least I'm seeing one attentive participant myself. So as you've heard from Lucinda, I recently decided to make the unlikely career move from being an IT expert to a professional life coach. I had this lofty ideal. I wanted to help my clients to live a life of joyful purpose. I called my life coaching business Grounded for Life, meaning being grounded to live life well. My clients would know what was important for them, and they would live it out. They would be steady and not stuck for life. Then lockdown happened, and I failed the resilience test miserably. Not only was my life not grounded, I was floating around like yesterday's helium balloon. In my defense, I went through a few serious life changes just before lockdown, and I am also on record as my doctor's very first COVID patient in Stellenbosch. I had to go into lockdown a week before the rest of the population, so I could not reach for my usual fixes to suppress my anxiety. So no shop therapy, no rushing out to help friends in need. Even if I decided to disobey the authorities who phoned me every day on my landline to make sure that I stayed put, my friends would not want to see me. Remember, I was the plague. There was no indulging in my favorite treats like chocolate chips and ice cream. Would you have the audacity to ask your church small group who insisted to help me, to bring you such luxuries? The worst of all, I had no red wine. At least one of my friends had mercy on me. She's also a coffee addict, and she brought me a kilogram of freshly roasted coffee beans. I started regretting the past, remembering every single mistake I made since birth. Then I started worrying about the future. Will I become financially independent as a professional life coach, or would I remain stuck in my joyless existence of computer programming? I do realize that some of you in the audience find computer science very rewarding, and that's great. You are your own person, and computer programming helps me tremendously to decode my clients' minds today, so I'm very happy that I did do it for 25 years. Instead of my usual fixes, I indulged in COVID mania, which just fanned my fears into an inferno. My life was eventually so out of control that I was not even able to help myself, much less any coaching client. I failed at the very thing that I wanted to grab hold of, that I want my clients to grab hold of. As far as I was concerned, my coaching career was over. How could I instill courage into anyone to embark on a journey onto uncharted waters and live life on purpose if I could not make the transition myself? My ship, taking me from coding to coaching, sank on its maiden voyage. Instead of living grounded, I lived 6 feet under the ground, twisted up in a ball of anxiety, which led to severe depression. The good news is, because I now understand the necessity of recognizing anxiety and handling it on a day-to-day basis, I'm not only grounded, I'm flying on course, supporting my clients to get unstuck. Today, I will give you some proven strategies to recognize and reduce anxiety in your own life. Let's stop the distress and start to de-stress. So I'll start to share my screen now. Just let me see. So as you heard from Lucinda, the topic is strategies to reduce anxiety. While you read the disclaimer, I just want to remind you this is an interactive workshop, and please go grab a pen and paper for the best experience. I realized that through my struggles and studies, I realized that stress and anxiety exist on a continuum. First, there are stress, which is healthy. It keeps you motivated and focused and having clarity on where you want to go and how to get there. Then there's anxiety, feeling nervous, fearful, concerned, tense, worried, agitated, or uneasy. And on the far right of the spectrum is anxiety disorder. The definition is pervasive anxiety where your anxious feelings are strong enough to interfere with your daily activities. Anxiety disorder needs professional care. I found myself on the far right of the spectrum where I needed medical support. And my goal for this workshop is to send you out with hope of greater joy in your life. So what does unkempt hair and anxiety have in common? Both grows out of control if not looked after. I think we have an appreciation for that after lockdown. Everybody is affected, you and the people who have to face you. Messy hair, messy mind. It makes you feel miserable. And just as each person have a different hair challenge, each person has different life challenges that cause anxiety in their life. What do you do to handle messy hair? First of all, you need to accept that everybody needs to look after their hair to stay presentable. Then you have to become aware of what your specific hair challenge is. Is it too straight, too thick, too receding, too dry, too oily, or I love my hair, please leave me alone? Then you need to take action. You make an appointment with the hairdresser, get your hair cut, and maintain your hair on a daily basis. Let us look at the steps to deal with anxiety through acceptance, awareness, and action. I never thought of myself as an anxious person. I mean, I had love, joy, and peace stuck to my refrigerator door. For the people in the audience today who are also in denial of being anxious, I would like to read the following from the book Herbs for Stress and Anxiety. Do you recall the last time you felt really peaceful, when you felt truly, profoundly calm and content? When you woke up smiling and the world smiled back? Can you say that you have ample time for social events, get everything done in a day that you wanted to, and feel like your to-do list is under control? Do you sleep deeply and soundly so that waking up is a joy, not a chore? If you feel this way on a regular basis, please raise your hand. I don't see any hands. I don't know if there are any. For the rest of us, let's concentrate, listen, and learn. The only person that is not anxious is the dead one. Stress, we all get anxious. It is part of life. Anxiety is not an illness. It is an emotion. It is not the enemy. How we deal with it is critical. If we don't know how anxiety shows up or why, we might get caught up in temporary distractions or short-term fixes that actually feed the anxiety and not curb it. We often numb the experience, we ignore it, we run away from it, or we simply pretend that we never experience anxiety. If you still struggle to accept that you might be anxious, think again. There are researchers out there whose studies link high levels of anxiety to high IQ. I asked researchers and lecturers from the university what causes anxiety in their lives. What was interesting to me, researchers have a mediocrity fear. Is what I want to say and do with my research really that great? Students had performance anxiety. Will I pass the next exam, course, and my degree? They both had money stressors. Researchers was worried that they wouldn't have enough money to complete their research project, and some students worried that they would waste their parents' money. And both of them had an overwhelm, too little time for everything that needs to be done. So now it's your turn. Please write down what you are anxious about at this current moment in time. We are going to use this in the rest of the workshop, so please take time. It can be big things, small things, a deadline, a relationship, a stuck research project. So if you can write down, I will be very, very happy. For example, I feel nervous now about presenting a workshop on Teams for the first time. I feel tense about a SQL report my client is waiting for. I feel worried about my 21-year-old who still haven't taken action towards becoming financially independent. And I feel restless about my tingling toes, something that I have left over from COVID. Please share your stressors in the chat box if you feel like it. Gerda, do you see anything?
I see a couple coming in to finalize my research proposal, meeting thesis submission deadline, research proposal.
So it's very much work related.
Yeah, failure and finalizing research proposal. So I think research proposal is causing a lot of stress to a lot of people now.
Yes.
And here's one for ethical clearance application.
Oh, ethical, I don't know what that is, but you do. So are you feeling a bit overwhelmed or even anxious to think about what makes you anxious? I trust that you now accept the fact that hair gets messy, people get anxious, deal with it. As promised, we will be looking at proven techniques to move ourselves from an anxious state to a motivated state. But first, you need to become aware of what anxiety looks and feels like. Let us find out what is your specific hair challenge. So how does anxiety present itself? On a physical level, you might experience tightness in your chest, contraction, nausea, rapid heartbeat, a pit in the stomach, shallow breath or even stopping to breathe, clenching of teeth and clenching of fists. Behavioral signs is eating less or more, sleeping less or more, isolating yourself, and procrastination and other habits that you indulge in. On cognitive level, you might experience memory problems, poor spatial judgment, inability to concentrate, and constant worrying or seeing only the negative. Emotionally, you might be moody, you might be irritable, having a short temper, inability to relax, feeling overwhelmed, and having a sense of loneliness and isolation. So we're going to do a short exercise on Slido. So please share how you recognize anxiety in yourself or in others. You can use the QR code or go to slido.com and type in the number 155657. So think about the categories we discussed: physical, behavioral, emotional, cognitive, and just type in on your screen. Insomnia. Okay, tight chest. Yeah, another insomnia. Upset tummy. How many respondents are there, Kirchner? Or participants?
There's about 68. Let me just double check. Yeah, 68 at the moment, including us.
Okay. I just wanted more to take part. Let's see, 12 has responded now. Insomnia is a huge thing. Heart palpitations. Oh, personality change, okay. Lack of motivation, avoiding tasks, that's also procrastination. Depression, health issues. No, it seems that you actually know what anxiety looks like. Whew. I become very anxious when I look at all these. Easily irritated. Okay, I think you get the idea. I think we should move on. Or unless, Kirchner, do you think we should move on? Insomnia.
Yeah, I think we can maybe move on. This gives a very good overview.
Okay, so for the next exercise, I want you to become aware of how anxiety feels in your body. You can know it cognitively, but you cannot recognize it in your body. So where do you feel stress or anxiety most in your body right now? Chest. Okay, the head. Head is in the front. Okay, head. I feel it in my shoulders now. Head. Seems like most of us have it in our necks and heads. Okay. I'd just like you to feel, experience how it feels like for you. I think most of us has it in our heads. Okay, let's move on. What sensation do you feel the most right now in that area? If you can pick one of those. Tension, restlessness, tightness. But in stomach, okay. Clenching. Yeah, I normally clench my teeth in my sleep, or sometimes. Okay, so tension. So I think that is muscles tensing up. Let's move on to the next one. How intense is this sensation on a scale from 1 to 0? 0, yeah, where 0 is not at all. No, it's 1 to 10, sorry. Ooh, 100%. I mean 10. Okay, it seems at this stage you are pretty anxious. The audience is really anxious. There's not even one person. Oh, there's one that is very relaxed. Okay, so most of you are pretty anxious now. I have a huge mountain to climb. Okay, so where do you explore? If you take a moment to explore the sensation, if you had to pick one side or the other, is it more on the right side or on the left of the body? Okay, so this was just to, I'm going to move on now. Sorry for the ones that didn't respond yet. Just to make you aware of how it feels in your body. A good rule of thumb is if you notice contraction as opposed to expansion in any area of your body, your mind, or your life, it is a clue that you are under an anxiety attack and that it is time to take action. Becoming aware of how anxiety presents itself in your life is a good first step in the right direction. So it is time to take action and visit the hairdresser or barber. We will take a look at 3 possible ways to take action with color, cut, and style. The first thing that we can cut off is regret and worry. Regret is trying to fix yesterday's problems with today's insights. Worry is trying to fix tomorrow's problem with today's insights. Being at peace is facing today's challenges, joyfully knowing that you will be able to handle tomorrow's problems better because of yesterday's insights. Stop regretting the past or worry about the future. Start being present with whatever you are doing at any given time. Another thing to get rid of is fears. Fears. I'm going to read you this quote from Thomas Jefferson. They are indeed gloomy and hypochondriac minds, inhabitants of diseased bodies, disgusted with the present and despairing of the future, always counting that the worst will happen because it may happen. To these I say, how much pain have cost us the evils which have never happened. And that was written in 1816 already. So we are going to engage in an exercise shortly where we are going to cut your fears down to size. So there will be 3 circles, one within the other. Okay, I just need to mention here, I learned, my life coach, Francois Esterhazen, taught me this exercise, this technique. So the big circle represents everything that might happen. So you ask yourself, what might happen in this situation? If you face like this daunting situation of your research project, I can't remember, whatever you said. Then you ask yourself, the middle circle, you ask yourself, what can happen? That is more realistic, having a fair probability of happening. In the small circle, you note down what usually happens, or what happened in the end when faced with similar circumstances. So if you take any daunting situation that you are facing and ask yourself the following questions, that is what we're going to do for an exercise. First, I'm going to give you my COVID example. And when I asked the question, what might happen, I said to myself, I'm going to die, my mom is going to die, I will infect my friends and their parents are going to die. If I don't die right away, the hospitals will be too full to accommodate me and I will have to suffer without oxygen at home. If I survive the ordeal, my hospital bill will be so high that I will have to work like a dog for the rest of my life. And so on and so on. In the smaller circle, what can happen? I can get seriously ill, but I have a range of immune support supplements to help me overcome it. I could have infected people unknowingly when I didn't know I had the virus, and somebody could die, but I did not invent the virus. I can only do what I can do to prevent it. If I follow the health protocols of self-isolation, I will not infect more people. Now it is your turn. I will give you a few minutes to take that daunting situation you face and write down for yourself what might happen, what can happen, and what usually happens. I'm going to give you a minute or two, maybe more. If you can just indicate in the chat box when you are ready to move on. And after that, we are going to break up into small groups so that you can discuss it among yourselves. And then we are going to come back where you can give me feedback if you want to. Let me just start my timer.
Gerda?
Yes.
I've created about 20 rooms where a couple have 4 people in and others 3. Is that fine?
Yes, that is perfect. Thank you, Cosmo. Will you just keep an eye on the chat box? I can't see the chat.
Will do.
So I hope every one of you knows what to do. If you don't, just shout. Kirchner, if we can give them 5 minutes once we start the breakout to share, can you set it up like that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Just let me know when I should start the rooms.
Yes, I'm just waiting for a couple of people to tell me that they've finished in the chat box.
Here's a few responses coming through, but still waiting.
Okay. Yeah, it's really important for me that you do this exercise well. It helps me tremendously. Okay, I think, what do you think, how many responses are there?
4 responses now.
Okay, let's wait a few minutes, a few seconds.
It's 3 more responses now.
Okay, I think we can start the breakout rooms now.
Okay, I'm opening all of them now. The one thing I'm not sure about is whether everybody automatically gets transferred to the breakout room or not. So I'm not sure what it looks like on your side, or if you're maybe getting a prompt or something.
And I wonder if I would also be assigned to a breakup room, but let's see what happens.
Yes, you'll probably be assigned.
Okay. I don't see anything yet. Oh, maybe Matak.
I think it's because it's such a large number of groups. It's opening bit by bit.
Oh, I see. There's a join room.
Right, so to those of you, if you get the prompt, go and join the breakout room. Gerda will be jumping between the rooms and interacting with you per group.
I was in my breakout room, but there was no other participants. I don't know if other people had the same problem.
I wonder if I can, I'll have to. Because I might have to, oh, you can manually join each room.
No, I'm happy to wait. I wonder if anybody else in the audience haven't been assigned to a breakout room, if they could just give an indication. Otherwise, we'll just give them a little bit of time. Hoe lang is ons nou al bezig? I see there are people who haven't been assigned one.
Yes, I see that now as well. But I think she has, because I don't see her name as a participant who hasn't been added yet.
So, Nalubega, have you been assigned?
Maybe
okay, Cecilia said she joined but can no longer hear the main group. You will need to let us know in chat when to return. Okay, now can you just maybe stop the breakout rooms and everybody return?
Are you sure?
No, not now. After a few more minutes. I'm just asking.
Yeah, now I'm just quickly sending a message, hopefully for everybody to read.
But just give them a couple of more minutes to share the experience with each other.
So they must, share their experiences with one another and then discuss what they've written down.
Yes, and any insights that they received. Okay.
Gerda, can you maybe just give me an indication where the prompt appears on Teams to join a room? Because I think some people...
It was in the middle of my screen.
So right in the middle, okay.
I see Lucinda is also alone in her group. I'm sorry, Lucinda, I don't know how to...
There actually was someone and nothing happened, so she left.
Oh.
But on top of my screen, there's an option join room, so I can go back to my room if I want to.
Okay. I was in room 12, but there was nobody there, so I exited. Were you also maybe in room 12? But
yes, I was in room 19. Yeah.
Okay.
But I can exit it and join it again from my side.
I think we just we can move on now.
Okay.
I think people have we have been busy 5 minutes. What do you think, Krishna? Or should we give them one more minute?
I think maybe we can come back. I see there's a lot. I don't know if you can see the chats of all the different rooms happening on your side.
No, I just see the problems. That
There is some, yeah, not all the groups, but there is some activity in some of the groups.
okay. I don't see anything on the groups. I don't see any groups.
Okay.
But I'm just trusting some of them are actually doing the exercise.
Yes, there is some, and others, unfortunately, not so much. I think some people joined and then left again.
Yeah, I think it's daunting to have to share your stuff with other people.
Right, but shall I close the rooms for now? Or...
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Will you just give me an indication when everybody's back, isn't it?
Yes. Teams is closing the sessions one by one now.
Sounds like there's a frog in your room. Is there a frog in your room?
Well, not in mine, but I think a lot of people's mics are unmuted now. So I'm going to quickly mute everybody. It's going to mute you too, but I'll unmute you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, it seems I can't unmute you, so you can just unmute yourself.
Hey, you are back. I hope everyone was in a chat in team a breakout room. If not, just stay with us. Does anybody like to share some insights, perhaps?
And can I say here, if you want to unmute your microphone to speak, you're welcome to do so.
I had Hanley here. Maybe I can just break the ice and start going. We had such a lovely chat in our breakout room. And I'm going to start from the back end of it. I think what was lovely for me is that we came to this understanding that it's not only me. So I think that was a big one for us, because we tend to think, oh, I'm the only one that's struggling with this. And I said to them earlier this morning, I had a meeting with a colleague, and I told her about a third year student that said to me that he doesn't feel prepared for third year. He doesn't feel second year last year prepared him. And she said to me, Hanley, let's be honest, don't we all feel that way sometimes? And that was such a nice setup for this session today, to be a little bit more honest when I had to do that circles. And when I did the circles and I started writing the things down, I think the thing that struck me is, and we shared this with one another in the group, is I get in trouble because I don't take control when I can take control. So I'm one of those people that procrastinate, that avoid, and when I get under stress, I stop. When I'm worried about the emails that will come in, I first stop reading the ones that worry me, and then I just stop opening Outlook altogether. I hope there's nobody in the meeting that sent me emails, but anyway. And of course, it just gets you into deeper and deeper trouble. So just, quickly from our outer circles, they started with big lofty things like being worried about being caught out as a fraud and, never getting funding again, or never having someone ask me to be their PhD promoter again, down to, understanding that, I might finish things late. There's a chance I will annoy my colleagues because I'm not on top of things they want me to be on top of.
So are you talking now about your smallest circle?
I'm getting to the smallest one.
You're still in your biggest circle?
I'm in the middle one now. So in the bigger one, I had broad things like people might realize I'm a big fraud and I know nothing about this and I shouldn't be a PhD promoter and they'll never ask me to be one again. Mm-hmm. And then when I rolled a little deeper to what might actually happen, It will be things like, I might annoy colleagues because I might not be prepared. I might not have read everything on time. I might not know the theory as well as I want to know it. And then when I get to the very deep one, or actually in the middle one, it was more things like, that's really the very middle one. There's a chance that those things will happen. In between, there are, it's like, I still tell myself I'll finish late, but the chances I can actually control that. Then get to the very, very middle one, I realize that I get into a lot of that trouble because I've procrastinated earlier. I sat in that big circle of, I'm a fraud, I won't get this, I'm not going to understand this. I don't start reading the stuff the PhD student sends me, and then I'm going to get into trouble in the small middle circle of, oops, I haven't read it. And now I'm sitting in a meeting where someone's asking my opinion, and all I can say is I like it or I don't like it, or I haven't read it.
Okay. So, yeah, that is a good insight. So if you can cut the fears of the outer circle, you can actually have time to do the inner circle.
Yes, that would be great, to just take control at that step already and not get stuck in that, oh, it's all going to fail.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Hanneli. Is there anybody else brave enough to share?
There's one comment in the chat box that says that was very helpful. I really enjoyed talking to my group and not feeling as alone.
Yeah, that is very encouraging to me. I hope everybody is feeling a little less anxious. What I like you to see in the outer circle, normally it is things that we have no control over, so we might just shelve that. In the middle circle, it is things that you can actually plan for. And the small circle, you just have to wing it and see what happens. At least you will have focus then to do it. Well, I am relieved because we are nearly halfway through. The next thing we can cut off is unnecessary to-do list items. I use this Eisenhower matrix on a weekly or a daily basis. I'm not sure if you are familiar with it. I'm just quickly going to run through it. So you basically place all your tasks in one of the 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 is the urgent and important things with clear deadlines and consequences for not taking immediate action, and that you do immediately or as soon as you can. Then the important and not urgent things that you don't have a deadline for, you can schedule. And it's important to schedule it in your diary. I read the book by Nir Eyal, Indistractable. He found with years of research that you actually get more done by scheduling your priorities than having a never-ending to-do list, and which just adds to your anxiety. Then the urgent and not important things you can try and delegate if you are. Yes.
Are you sharing slides at the moment, or?
Yes, I am.
I think it's maybe not active. We're not seeing it on this side.
Okay, let me see. Microsoft Teams. Now, how do I share that again? Sorry, man. Let me see. Okay, let me go out and in again. Thank you for making me aware. Microsoft Teams. I have 2 now open. Screen 1. Okay, can you see it now?
No, still not. Does it show the little red square around the screen that you're wanting to share?
No. Okay, just let me see. I think it was because I just want to dismiss that. I'm in the chat now. And okay, let's share again. Open share. Okay, there I am.
Yes. There we go.
Okay, so I don't know if I have to start again, but yeah, just I'm just going to continue. So just to remember that you can actually delegate some of your tasks, and the ones that are not important and not urgent, you can drop off your to-do list or just do in moderation. The next action step, you can grab some color. For me, the part where you color your hair is the most time-consuming and messy of the whole hairdresser experience. For some of you, the metaphor might lose its power at this point if you don't have any hair, for instance, but just hang in there. For me, color is everything. I follow my hairdresser wherever she moves just because she's an expert at applying my hair color. She even manages to use my appearing friends, that she calls my grey hair that, to my advantage to stretch my color to 4 months instead of 2. When it comes to improving my life, I also want results. I seek the most simple solution to a complex problem. It is not necessarily the cheapest or the easiest, but normally the most effective to solve the problem sustainably. The coders in the audience will know effective code is hard to write, but easy to maintain and less costly later on. And so for this part, it is actually a bit more tricky to identify where your coloring work is to be done, and it is sometimes good to hire a coach. And another great resource is the book I read by Dr. Judson Brewer. The book's name is Unwinding Anxiety, and it is really a piece of brilliance in mind reprogramming, and I highly recommend that. I'm just going to look into a few more habits. I saw that a lot of you struggles with procrastination, and my habit where anxiety hides, for instance, is also procrastination. I procrastinate by drinking coffee whenever I need to sit down and do some marketing or developing of materials, or if I have a less interesting task like computer coding. I have a stovetop knocker pot. Coffee making is done to precision, and it takes anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes for me to make the perfect cup. I procrastinate by doing good things for friends. The lonely one who needs company, the sick one who needs support, the traumatized one who needs counseling. Why do I procrastinate? Because of fear of failure. If I, despite my best efforts, am not able to get me where I want to be, I am a failure. The fix I get from procrastination is to not have to face that fear. But where does that leave me? Being forever stuck in computer programming, never transitioning to being an expert coach. And like Hanley shared, it actually keeps you away from the stuff that you can do to finish whatever you need to do. So what is your habit? You can think about that. It will be great. So the next item, the next action step, or the next styling aid. We are going to style your hair now. I don't know if your hairdressing experience plays out like mine. After I spent too much money on color and cut, when I reached the toe, there are some yummy styling aids that I mostly ignore because they cost an arm and a leg. My hairdresser believes styling aids are the most crucial part of maintaining your crown. Let's be extravagant and add a bit of style. One very good styling product for me is the Curiosity Pose that I learned from Dr. Judson Brewer. First, I'd like to show you what real unbridled curiosity looks like. That is my brother when he was 3 years old, I think. He's holding a squirrel. I'm looking on in total fascination. The curiosity pose works like this. Whenever you are faced with a stressful situation, to stop your mind from racing and to drop into your unconscious childlike curiosity, you pause, you open your eyes wide and say, I'll show you a little bit later about the mind-body connection. I demonstrated the curiosity pose recently to my most reserved friend Pietru when we hiked. Yes, she texted me the Monday morning saying, that curiosity pose of yours works. Every time I picture you on the mountain demonstrating it, I burst out laughing. So recently I applied the curiosity pose in a stressful situation. I double parked my car on not one, but 2 disabled parking zones in front of the conserve where I dropped my daughter. I idled the car while she told me something. Some of you might know that when your young adult child decides to speak, you need to listen. It might only happen in the 3 months from now. The narrative went on a bit longer than I thought, and I switched off the car to save the planet. When I turned the key in the ignition to start again, my car was dead. My mind started racing. I knew the service was overdue, and how on earth could I be so stupid? And what will people think of me parking on a disabled parking, not 1, 2? I remembered the power pose, and I went like this. I was immediately becoming more aware and focused, and I worked out a plan. I summoned my child to come back to bring me a laptop so that I could charge my phone, which was on 1%. I asked the campus security to push my car into the front parking spot so that I don't get 2 parking tickets. I sent an SOS to my community group, and one of the guys pitched up with some jump starting cables, and the problem was solved. To do all this without adrenaline pumping and a rapid heartbeat is quite an achievement for an Olympic warrior than like myself. If you have no hairstyle, it is time for the power pose. There's a very popular TED talk, I'm sure you've heard about it, about this power pose, and the theory behind it is if you strike a power pose, that's one of those on the top row, for only 2 minutes before a daunting event like presenting a workshop on Teams, it will lower your cholesterol and it will increase your testosterone, and it will help you to arrive as your authentic self in the situation. Amy Cuddy's mantra is fake it until you become it. I just want to look at the time. Okay. So another one of my favorite styling aids is to use my senses. I'm not going to delve deeper into that, but there are proven methods that's connected to our senses. For instance, just looking at photos of nature could be enough to lower your work stress levels. So if you can't look out onto the mountain like I can do, you can just put a picture of it on your wall. And the same with hearing. You can listen to nice music. I don't know about you, I cannot be happy and anxious at the same time. I'm sure you can think of things that you can enjoy with your senses. The best kept secret to less anxiety is human relationship, good relationships. There was a 75-year-old study, sure you've heard of it, that found that exactly that. The happiest people are people that are in good relationships. So that is worth investing into, and rather cut your time on the other to-do list items. I want you to please not be fooled by the simplicity of these styling aids. They have been proven to have an immediate effect. I always say truth hides in simplicity. Shallow breathing is part of the fight-flight body response. If there is no physical threat in your stressful situation, you need your brain to solve the problem and not your muscles to run away. There are countless breathing exercises that you can find on the internet. I always try to learn at the experts in their field. Do you know who is the best breather on earth right now? It is the baby. Imagine a baby lying on its back, sleeping. Notice how the chest moves up and down rhythmically. I applied this breathing technique on Monday when my IT client phoned me and their system crashed, and I tell you, it works. After the ordeal and I restored their system backups, I didn't even need a coffee fix. So now it is your turn, exercise time. We are going to do a 2-in-1 exercise, and the fascinating thing about human beings is that our body and mind has a very strong connection. If you think something with your mind, your body reacts. The inverse is also true. By mechanically changing your facial expression, you can change your emotions, like anxiety. It has something to do with hormones being secreted and serotonin. I don't remember the details. So, for example, when you hear some good news, you smile because you feel happy. When you hear some bad news, just by smiling, you can reverse your default mood from sad to happy. But first, allow yourself to cry because of the bad news. If you want to join me in this exercise, you first pause and smile and breathe in and out. In and out. In and out. Now I am so relaxed. I could sleep like a baby. I trust that you have accepted that you experience anxiety in your life, and that you have become aware of how to detect it, and that you are prepared to take action. The relief one experiences after a long overdue haircut is immense. Your new attractive hairstyle also brings joy to your loved ones. If you can get to the point where you manage your anxiety well, it will bring yourself and the people around you even more joy than a good haircut. When you can present yourself as being enthusiastic, rejuvenated, and motivated instead of nervous, worried, or tense, it will be contagious, and you won't need to wear a mask to stop the spread. Imagine with the extra focus and extra time, you might even finish your assignment or research project on time. I would like to end with a quote from Dr. Seuss. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. Don't put up with anxiety. Choose to take action. Go get a haircut. If you feel stuck in your life and not knowing what your next move should be, or if you want to discover your habit loop that causes anxiety, you're welcome to fill in the Google form that you will find in the presentation notes and on the screen. Gerda, maybe you can copy it to the, don't worry, to the chat, but yeah, I have my own coach to help me reach my goal of being free from coding and switch over to full-time coaching. And I believe every person on the planet needs a coaching. So if there are any questions, you are welcome to ask them now. Maybe I should just stop sharing. Gerda, are there maybe any questions in the chat?
Not in the chat at the moment. I'm just quickly trying to, I'm just waiting for my Outlook to respond so I can post the link to the survey that you want participants to fill in. But anyone who has a question, who wants to ask something, you're welcome to unmute yourself if you want to speak rather than type.
Okay, I can paste that in the chat, I hope. Yeah, I pasted it there. Okay, so if there are no questions, I am finished. Thank you, Santi.
I just want to say thank you very much, Gerda, for this, because it was a bit fast in which to grasp this, but dealing with issues within my own space in terms of anxiety, I see a lot of resonance and I thank you for the tips, and I think also just perhaps a tip you've given me is being able to put oneself out there without, in terms of presenting, for example, there's always this perception that there's a perfection that needs to be there. And I think being able to say, hey guys, this is my first time presenting here, really made me kind of connect to you. And it's something that I would use, being honest about what one is feeling. So thank you so much for this, much appreciated.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I have this motto: to fail on my way to mastery is not a shame.
Okay, Lucinda, I'm not sure if I should just start or...
As a viewer, I think it's fine. You can start.
Okay, thank you so much. Is it not fitting, colleagues, that we started the week with a mentor and then we are ending it with a coach? So it's really very interesting. That's what I've noticed. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to have been given an opportunity to say a few closing words in this 9th annual research week of the Stellenbosch University Library and Information Services. Really, this was the second year that we have held the Library Research Week virtually. During the launch, we listened to Professor Volming's moving presentation about the importance of mentorship in the academy. Through his personal story, we realized that great mentors are not always the people we know. They are not born out of relationships and bonds we consciously seek. They can be that person you meet on campus by chance. In concluding his lecture, Prof encouraged us to seek mentors. For all great leaders have mentors, he said. As Ms. Ellen Tice explained, this is an event that is meant to inspire and equip emerging researchers at our university. I hope many of us would have been motivated and inspired by Prof's speech on Monday. Colleagues, in the past few days, you will have listened to some interesting presentations from various faculty members, vendors, postgraduate office, Innovas, Center for Learning Technologies, Language Center, and library staff. This year, we even pulled a coup. We managed to have Gerda from the private sector to come and speak at the Library Research Week. Gerda was our last speaker, actually, was just, spoken now. We hope that these presentations would have made a small contribution to your academic journey. These talks were meant to remind you of the services and resources around the university that you have at your disposal. In closing, I would like to thank the Library Week Organizing Committee members, which are Ms. Naomi Fisa, Ms. Marlene Hendricks, Ms. Amukelang Boisi, Ms. Ingrid van de Weeshuizen, Ms. Lucinda Rath, Dr. Santi Tiong, and Mr. Kirchner van de Venter. I was the chair of this group. In addition, I'm grateful to Mr. van de Venter, who worked on teams behind the scenes to ensure that everything runs smoothly. I thank the following people: Prof. Klute for his opening remarks, Ms. Ellen Tice for her leadership, Prof. Volming for his inspiring lecture. I'm grateful to all presenters, Ms. Celine Delport, Ms. Henley Stradom, Mr. Kirchner van de Venter, sorry, Kirchner. I cannot forget you, Kirchner. Mr. Carol Katz, Prof. Leslie Swartz, Ms. Margriet de Villiers, Dr. Anthea Lesh, Ms. Rebecca Evans, Mr. Samuel Simango, Mr. Marie Roux, and Ms. Gerda Hayes. I would like to thank all those who attended the various sessions during the week. I'm told that all in all, we had about 735 people who registered, but 967 people attended the sessions. We are looking forward to seeing you again next year, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. So I declare the Library Week for this year closed. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Saviwe, for those words, and thank you, Gerda, for providing the final session. And yes, thank you to everybody who participated this week, and we hope to see you again next year. I will be distributing a short survey to everyone who registered, and please take a few minutes just to fill that in. We could always use the feedback to just improve our research week for the future sessions. Right, thank you, everybody. Goodbye.